Gruesome Magazine.
Hello once again, I am Doc Rotten and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week my co-host Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dreher, and I will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight we are reviewing Martyrs Lane, coming to Shudder this September. Oh, it's going to be fun. But let's introduce the crew, starting off with Jeff Mohr. Jeff, sir, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. You know, we did Little Girl Who Lived on the Lane in the 70s, and now we're doing Martyrs Lane.
Yes.
I
don't know the connection
of
Little on the Lane, but yeah.
Nathan Lane isn't in either one of them.
Nathan Lane. Yeah. Oh my God. Or Thomas Jane, but that has nothing to do with anything other than rhyming.
I love Thomas Jane.
There you go. Off the rails we go. Also joining us is Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl. How you doing?
Pretty good. There's a little girl that lives on the lane here too.
Yes.
She does.
Yes. I'm not. Well, yes, maybe.
Lives-ish.
Yes.
Lane-ish.
Is subjective.
Lane-ish. Depending.
Well, in Martyrs Lane. No, yeah.
Yeah, Martyrs Lane is right there.
Was, yeah.
All right, so what we're going to do tonight, after we ramble on for 10 minutes. No, sorry. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to give our first impression of Martyrs Lane. That is going to be spoiler free, and then we're going to dive into is actually what we're going to do, all the details, and we will get into spoilers, and then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. Of course, we want to say, if you're watching, we hope you enjoy not only this review but many more that we have on the site. And if you want to help us out, hit the subscribe button, the like button, share with a friend, all that good stuff that you hear on every other thing on YouTube. Do all that
right now. Do it right now.
Yes. And of course, we do want to hear your thoughts down below. Leave a comment. We'd love to hear what you think. All right. What movie are we talking about? We are talking about Martyrs Lane. Begins streaming on Shudder September 9th, 2021. It is written, directed by Ruth Platt. Cast includes Denise Goff, Stephen Cree, and was it Go or Goff? Sometimes it's
like Van Gogh.
They said in her bio it said it's pronounced Goth, which is like, I give up.
Oh, like Goth.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Stephen Cree and Anastasia Hill and Hannah Ray. Yeah, it is. Leah, age 10, lives in a large vicarage full of lost souls and the needy. In the day, the house is bustling with people. At night, it is dark, empty, and a space for Leah's nightmares to creep into. A small nightly visitor brings Leah comfort, but soon she will realize that her little visitor offers knowledge that may be very dangerous.
Very, very.
Yes, cue the dramatic music. This is going to be a fun review. Shudder, of course, we love. They usually pick the good ones. Let's find out if this is yet another good one. And Crystal, you're up first. What was your first impression of Martyrs Lane?
Okay, I knew I was going to go first here since I was in this spot. Okay, so this movie is a bit of a slow burn. Actually, for some of you, it's going to be a definite slow burn. So I loved it and really enjoyed it and didn't have any problem with the pacing of the film. It's a mystery that unfolds over time, and like the synopsis says, it's little by little. So, you get little breadcrumbs throughout the way. The two little girl actresses are so amazing. Oh my gosh, they did such a good job. I just loved them and wanted to pinch their cheeks, and then felt sad. And I mean, it's a little bit of an emotional roller coaster. It's sad. The mother is secondary, but also very pivotal to the film, and so is the father and the extra sister. Which honestly, I kind of hated the sister at first, and then you realize she does care about her sister.
The sister Bex.
Yeah. So that was kind of sweet. I think this movie is just beautifully shot. I think it's well told. I think the editing is good. I think the sound quality is awesome. I really enjoyed the story. I think I really enjoyed it. I think the only thing to say out there about some people, somebody may not like it because it is kind of slow. That's the only thing I put out there is like a little warning, but I think everyone should. I liked it. I liked it.
She liked it.
I did. I thought it was. Oh,
All
yeah.
right. Jeff, you're up next. What was your first impression of Martyrs Lane?
I like this too. And again, I will say the same thing that Crystal said. Those two little girls, especially, I would say Kira Thompson as Leah is even more in the center of the story, but the other one, Sienna Sayer, is just as good. And if they weren't as good as they were, it wouldn't work.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
Um,
They're absolutely fantastic. As is the mother, who we're not sure, Denise. We just learned that Michael Goff was F, but now it's like in her page it said Denise Goth. So I don't know. I'll say what she says. So, and she's Leah's mother. She's also really good too. I liked her. It's kind of so I watched this twice, and there were things that, it's one of those movies like Crystal was saying, it unfolds as it goes. And the second time around, I see there are some foreshadowings or, that I didn't get the first time, that even later, after I'd watched the whole thing, I didn't get that they connected that way, but they did. So that's really kind of cool. So there's a lot of attention to detail, I guess, is what I'm getting at with shot construction and any little thing that's shot. Like there's one point where a bird feather flutters down and lands on her cake box, and the feather's got a little bit of blood on it, and this cake box has polka dots on it. So the feather has portent. The blood on the feather has portent. That little part of the feather lands on a red polka dot, which I just thought was kind of cool. I mean, I'm sure they did that on purpose. Just accentuated all that. So stuff like that, I dig. So it's kind of to me, it was like a story about, so again, to go with Crystal, if you're looking for action and lots of gore, this isn't it. This is much more of an atmospheric slow burn that's shown through the eyes. I really personalized with Leah, the little girl. I was seeing it through her experience and what was happening, how she was being treated, what was happening to her. But it's kind of about love, loss, and guilt, and neglect, kind of as a result. What are the ghosts?
Yeah.
What are the ghosts
Sad.
that we carry around in our lives, and how do they affect us? So I really liked it.
Yeah, I'm going to confess I liked it too. And yes, it is a slow burn through the entire film. I mean, it is very much a purposely paced film, and it's part of the atmosphere of the film. It feels very. It doesn't have the hustle and bustle of a city, right? So it's out in, I don't know, in the, out in the valley somewhere, of England, and you kind of feel that. You feel like everything's much slower here, but not to the detriment of the story. I think it's part of the story, and I really got into it. To me, it reminded me of in tone and structure to a movie called The Changeling from 1980. I don't know if either one of you have seen that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But it feels very much
I think
like
that's
that.
on Shudder right now too.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, I recommend it.
It
but it is about, there's pain, there's loss, there's a mystery to it, and there's it. It's it may not be the most surprising mystery, but at the same time, it's to me it's very emotional. And like you said, the two young ladies that are in this, the little girls, they are fantastic. And when they're together, they're even better. when they're interacting, and we see them interact over a long period of time, nights after night after night, right? So, and things change with every visit, and it's so interesting to see the changes show up on their faces. Sometimes with makeup, but most of the time just with their acting. Sienna Sayer, who plays the young visitor, I won't say what her name is. The young visitor reminded me of like a very young Nicole Kidman, like a very, very young.
Really?
I mean, I just saw Nicole Kidman in her face, and I was like,
I
don't know.
I didn't see that at all.
I don't know why I couldn't get that out of my head, but I was like, just in the face, like, right. But anyway, it doesn't matter about that. I liked the father as well, and I thought the older sister was good. Because she played that bullyish but yet loving sister, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple of parts where you see that she does care. She picks on her because right. There's reasons why, and it's kind of buried in the story. So it's I thoroughly enjoyed this. It was very gripping. The sound is excellent in it. The atmosphere, the shots, they have great lighting, and there's all these things happening. If you pay attention, things show up in the background, or and it's it kind of oozed the dread that the story was heading towards. You knew it was going to end in a very disturbing revelation. It hadn't it was kind of obvious, but I mean, you felt it.
It was,
right?
It was
you felt
obvious. I think it was obvious really soon. So the saddest part of this story is how since they're not dealing with their own trauma, how they treat the little girl, because they're basically keeping her at an arm's length. Like, it's almost like they don't want to get too close. I think the sister and the mother. The father, not so much, but the two females seem to, it's like they don't want to get attached.
Right, but the father was always, because he's the deacon or whatever.
Vicar.
He's the vicar. So he's
the vicar's wife.
Yeah, so he's always at the church, or he's off doing other duties. So he's kind of the absent father, right? Because of his job. So even though he's there in the mornings, part of his not being there is part of the problem, right?
Right.
Because
I don't know. I think it's more about his
we'll talk
wife
about,
doesn't know how to deal.
Well, there is that. There is definitely that, but I can't say anything without spoiling like a huge mystery. So maybe I'll take that offline. But there's many times when if he was there, things would have turned out differently.
Right. So that's what I would say. He's not neglectful, but in the situation that he's in, that they're all in, if he was there to witness a lot of what was going on, it maybe could have made a difference.
He's absent.
I guess
not neglectful.
Yeah, because he has a job, and I don't know if you've ever been involved with a church like I have, but his emotional responsibility isn't just to his own family; it's to every family in that church, and he's doing his job. That's why they come to his house, and
I'm not saying he's doing anything wrong.
Right.
Him.
We're not saying anything. We're not saying he's doing anything wrong. It just adds to the situation,
right? And I don't think the wife certainly isn't. She's obedient, to use a word with quotes around it, but is not on board with it, and that's part of the problem. There's that friction. I
think he'd still have the same. I think he'd still have the same job, just somewhere else. The problem is where they're located. Memories.
Well. Yes,
that's what she was saying.
But
it's not about his job.
Even before the memories. But let's get on to the rest of the movie and not.
Don't marry a vicar if you can't handle it. Then.
Yeah. What do we think of the?
Someone doesn't just get called to the church then.
Yeah. So it's no secret that this is a ghost story.
Right. That's obvious.
And I want to know what you guys thought of the ghost elements of the story. Did you like the spookiness of that. Jeff?
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I don't.
Sorry.
No, that's
Yeah,
okay. Go ahead.
I liked it a lot. I'm not sure. Yeah, there was some. I guess there was some spookiness to it. I don't look at this so much as being scary as being, apprehension. A lot of apprehension. Like every time, you talked about how this goes on night after night and things change. Every time that happens, there's apprehension on what's the result of that is going to be.
Mhm.
So some tension or some, I don't know. Anyway, you know what? The one time I was really scared was down by the road. That was scary.
Really? Oh, because she was so close to the road getting
Yes.
hit by
Oh,
those
man.
cars.
As a father, you weren't kidding. I was like, get off the road.
I was like, what the heck? No wonder why Martyrs Lane is such a problem.
So what did you think, Crystal, of the ghost story of this?
Oh, see, I loved it. And I did think it was spooky because she was so nice and sweet
Yeah,
and
that's true.
cute. And I always felt like I was just waiting for the shoe to drop. I was like, ooh, because that to me is scarier. The idea that she was, it's just just sad. She really was sweet, a sweet little.
Yeah, you're right. It's a good point.
But every time she came back, she was more. Yeah. She was less the angel she thought she was at first, and more the ghost that she actually is.
She was
lonely. Things started to reveal. And I like the way they played with her being under the covers and together.
Oh,
yeah.
And then when the girls laughed at each other, it was so cute. Because if you really think about it, in their familial relationship, it's sad. Mm-hmm. I understand why the story was the way that it was and how it transpired. And but thinking about the way the mom is, this was years later. And she still was so.
Oh, she's damaged. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's there's this huge elephant in the room that nobody talks about. You're not allowed to talk about it, and that little girl knows something's not right.
Yeah, and it's just to the point that they're literally burying it, right? Yeah. Literally burying the whole story.
Well, and then I think that's the point of the story is that you can't bury your emotions because they're always going to prop up or come up one way or another, whether you want it to or not. You need to deal with it. You got to deal with it.
Yeah.
But even then, they were saying like, are you going to tell Dad? Are you going to tell your father?
Yeah. Even then, don't tell Mom. Don't tell Mom.
But when all things now, okay, so back to the ghost part of it, there is kind of a reckoning with the ghost where, it gets very supernatural, things fly around. Did it take it too far or was that fine, Crystal?
Yeah. I'm happy with the way it turned out. Are we doing spoilers?
We are doing spoilers, but we're not trying to give everything away.
Well,
but we kind of are.
Look, the mom wasn't even living anyway. Sorry. She wasn't living. She wasn't a good mother. She wasn't a good wife. She wasn't living. That's all I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. She wasn't living. She was just continually mourning and existing. Yeah. So.
Right. Like waiting through. Mm-hmm. I thought that was good. They had to, like we were talking about how it starts out pretty gradual. There's a little bit of ramp up every time there's a visit, let's say, and you had to go somewhere, and that was where the crap hits the fan, right, or the rubber meets the roads. What was this?
Nice. Can you do a third one?
And I don't know.
I'm like, now I'm trying to think. I'm like,
I know everybody's like, okay, so leave us some comments down below.
The rubber meets the road is actually very poignant.
It is. It actually applies. Sort of. Mm-hmm. Yes. All right.
I surprise myself sometimes by accident.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. Crystals, you are up first.
Okay, so I really enjoyed this. There's a lot to unpack with this story, and it's kind of it's an emotional roller coaster in a way. I think that it's not too difficult to handle, and I don't know why, because typically stuff like this would make me really, really sad. But it's done in a way where it's still I felt a little disconnected, so it was easier to handle because I don't like feeling emotions, much like this mother. Anyway, I am going to give it a. Ooh, I'm going to give it a 4.
Nice.
I just think
I'm happy
that
about
these
that.
young girls just blew this out of the water. They're so young, and they just handled this material
Agreed.
so well. I mean, it's partially based on that and the story and the way it was shot. I think this movie's. I don't think it's for everyone. Like I said, we've all said it's a slow burn, so just be prepared for that. But yeah, it's so lovely, really. My favorite scene, you know, it's hard. Really, I like when the first conversation with the two girls, when they first, she sees her in the woods, but when the girl comes to the house for the first time, and like they're both lonely, really, if truth be told. Like the living girl or whatever doesn't have any friends, and so it was just kind of sweet, their little interaction and their playfulness, and I don't know, they did such a great job. I really kind of bought the bond from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So yep.
No, I like that quite a bit. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jeff, you're up next. Your final thoughts, your score, and favorite scene.
Yeah, I think you're going to like this if you enjoy. How do I want to say it? A quieter, maybe ghost story. It's very atmospheric, very well done. I never felt like it's a little over 90 minutes, and I never lost interest.
Yeah.
I was always engrossed into what was going on. And there's, like I said, there's neat little things that you don't quite get the impact of until later, until you look back. So there's a bunch of those I could pick, but I'm going to pick, for my favorite scene, I'm going to pick when Sarah, the mother, take the receipts over to Lillian.
Oh man!
Oh yeah!
Woof, woof.
And holy cow! Talk about a reaction.
The little girl's acting in that is so freaking good because she's just following along, and
and so's the mother. So's the mother, right?
Yes, it's so.
You're watching that, and you're going, "What the?"
So good.
So anyway,
yeah.
And I'm giving this a 4 too. I'm giving this a 4 too.
Nice, very good. All right, I'm just going to start out saying I'm going to give it a 4 as well. Yeah, it was 4 all around. I really enjoyed it, but I would say, like, I mentioned earlier, if you like films like, The Changeling from the 80s, or, a more emotionally driven, haunting, I think you're going to like this. I think there's a lot to like about this. Technically, the acting's for sure. And the ghost story actually is really engaging and interesting. And it's also, we've touched on it, but we really didn't spend a lot of time. But Jeff, I think you mentioned it is told through Leah's eyes, right? The young girl's eyes. And that gives it this fairy tale quality to it.
Maybe that's why it was easier to handle. That's a great point. Yeah.
Even though it is a ghost story, and there are the scariest moments are, again, dreams. They always throw these scary ass dreams. There's a couple dreams that, one especially, that even the mother's face made me jump. But that, but there was like this interesting. There's these interesting little flourishes kind of visually thrown through there. Like in that dream that I just spoke about, you see her walking through the house, but when she looks in the mirror, she's upside down. She's walking on the ceiling, not the So, which is very interesting, and that explains why the view is so high, right? The perspective is so high. And then there's one of the times when things start getting unraveled, and the ghost girl, if you will, comes to the window. There's just a shot of her arm in the shadow, and it's longer than because of the light, it's longer than the window, and it just looks so creepy. And it's just an arm. But it's scary as can be. So yeah, I really like this movie. I like it quite a bit.
It's good.
I got Yeah, I wanted to throw something in too. You mentioned mirrors because I think there was really a great use of mirrors, and they tend to mean something. And I also think Ruth Platt, who wrote this and directed it, did an incredible job of weaving this story together. That everything makes sense and kind of feeds on it.
Yep. And my favorite scene, gosh, what am I going to pick? There's it's got to be with the girls. I think really when things started getting kind of icky, for lack of a better word, is when they're talking about that she's saying that she can be an angel, she's going to go wings,
the wings,
but she just has like they're just starting to growing, and the shot of that, the shot of that was just like there
is some good effects,
she's like
yeah, no, and she's so proud. She's so proud,
I know,
or acts
so
that way.
sad.
But so I didn't think we haven't talked about the dad too much, Stephen Creed, but I thought he was really great too.
Yeah.
Like when he comes running in there to wake her up when she might be asleep, but we don't know, right? She's under the covers and she just had the ghost girl was at, and you see her eyes and they're not normal. But anyway, and the father comes in saying, "You're dreaming." I don't know. I like the father. I thought he was good because there seemed to be such sorrow in him every time you saw him.
Really, I didn't really think much about the father, honestly.
Okay.
I defended him profusely, but that's mainly because I feel like he's got such a hard job. What a horrible job.
Yes.
You saw that woman in the house crying for him.
Yes.
Just some
I need a
random
blessing.
woman
I need a
showing up
blessing.
at your house in the dark. Yeah, that's funny.
I will admit that there were times when I was wondering if Leah wasn't a ghost as well. There were times when I was wondering, is she actually real, or is she like part of the ghost? I was thinking, and that might be because the other young girl reminded me of Nicole Kidman. I was thinking they were going to do The Others on me. So it might have been.
There's a lot of times
guilty by association, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of times where she's walking through the scene, and nobody is paying any attention to her whatsoever.
But that's her isolation, not
right. Exactly. So but I can see how you were.
Yeah, because she is kind of a ghost because she's a reminder of the mystery itself, right? So, all right, let's go ahead and get out of here. Jeff, Crystal, thank you for joining me. This was a good discussion. I knew it would be.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good one. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this one.
Yes. All right, let's say good night.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Gruesome Magazine.